Hello and welcome back to our series on the Wealth of Nations by Adam Smith. Today we're looking at Chapter 5. Chapter 5 of the Wealth of Nations looks at the difference between the price of something and its real value. Every man is rich or poor according to the degree in which he can afford to enjoy the necessaries, conveniences and amusements of life. This chapter really resonated with me personally. Until I recently came back to England and started this YouTube channel, I spent 17 years in Vietnam working as an English teacher. I spent so long there because I had the most incredible life. I could do anything I wanted. I had luxuries and a lot of amusements and conveniences. I had the most incredible time. I could do anything I wanted there. But in dollar terms, I was not earning very much money. My friends back home in England were all earning more money than me. Yet, I did have wealth. I could go to the beach for the weekend, I had a housekeeper to take care of me, I ate sushi all the time, and the reason I could live that lifestyle is that labour in Vietnam is cheap. Of all the chapters we've looked at so far in this book, this is the one that speaks the most to my own personal experience. Smith says that money on its own has no real value. It's only valuable insofar as how much labour it can buy. The price of everything is the toil and trouble of acquiring it. Labour is the real measure of exchangeable value of all commodities. But labour, as Smith then points out, is a hard thing to measure. 1 hour of hard work is often as productive as 2 hours of easy work. An hour spent working on a task that takes 10 years trying to master could be seen as having the same value as a month doing a job that requires no skill or training. It is the market, Smith tells us, that decides the value of labour. Through negotiating, bargaining and precedent, the market shows the approximate value of labour. The problem of knowing the value of labour is one that I had experience of while living in Vietnam, working as an English teacher. I would go to companies to train workers, or I would go to a student's house and teach them one-on-one. Each time, I would have to negotiate my hourly rate, and I charged the highest rate I could, because I was experienced and I was good at my job. Other teachers were available who charged less money, but I provided something of more value, so I was able to command a higher price. The value of labour is an abstract notion. It's easier to measure it in terms of what commodities it can buy, and the value of a commodity is most easily, and most usually, measured in how much money is exchanged for it. Smith then talks about the changing prices of items, and he uses gold and silver as examples. In the 16th century, the Spanish created huge gold and silver mines in their South American colonies. They mined so much gold and silver that the price of gold and silver dropped to only a third of what it had been before the mines opened. But the miners who extracted the gold and silver in Smith's day still had to work just as hard to get it as their predecessors had. The price had dropped because the supply had increased, not because the work had gotten easier. Smith's next point is that labour has a real price and a nominal price, like any other commodity. The value of labour is always the same, but the money it can command changes due to, for example, inflation or technological advances. He uses wheat to make a point about value. He writes that the money cost of wheat will change over time as the value of money goes down, but the amount of labour needed to produce it will stay the same. He wrote this before modern technology had increased productivity and replaced farm workers with machines. Chapter 5 ends with a look at the history of coinage, with the Romans favouring copper and later powers such as the British favouring silver. He gives many examples of this and talks about how the value of one item changed in relation to that of others due to the market. In Chapter 6, he will go on to split the price of a product into its 3 component parts.